the book, the word itself approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken. If you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word itself approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
And shalom aleichem. Good to see each and every one of you. We're so glad to be here with you today. It's a joy to know that Elohim has a plan and a purpose for us in this day, and he alone is to be glorified in all things. You're right now dealing with and on the programming of the proceeding word. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. Now, Yahweh, again, as many of you might be aware of, is just the Hebraic name for the word God, the phrase God the Father. So before you get twisted and thinking that you're in some kind of cult or some kind of effort to be occultic, we are simply speaking from the Hebrew language, which our Bible is written in, and we are injecting the proper name for the phrase. So when you hear me say Elohim, it's the Hebrew name for the title God in your Bible. And when you hear me say Yahweh, it's the Hebrew name for the general title God the Father. When you hear me say Adonai, it is the Hebrew name for the actual generalized title in your Bible called God the Son. When you hear me say Ruach HaKodesh, it is the Hebrew name for the phrase the Holy Spirit. Nothing deep, just Hebrew vernacular over the English generalizations that our Bibles were written and printed in. So today is that day. Now, when you see me say Sukkah, that is the actual Hebrew name for the fall feast season of God our Father, which is told to us in Leviticus chapter 23. When you hear me say Sukkah, the time, it is the Hebrew name for an AKA of three English phrases. One English phrase is the Feast of Tabernacles. That is the season and the time of Sukkah. There is an AKA to that called the Feast of Booths, that most of my beautiful brothers of the ethnicity of Judaism and those who are practicing Judaism under Torah and Halakha, they would deem that the Feast of Booths because there's an instruction in the writ that requires all who are born of the bloodline of Israel who came out of Egypt, that they should commemorate the time of Sukkah by dwelling in booths, or another word is sukkah. All right. So in that, they would commemorate this great miracle of Elohim in this season called Sukkah, that they would literally commemorate, memorialize their being nomadic and dwelling in the wilderness in rickety dwelling places. So today, many of you might see in your neighborhoods these shanties, as they would be called in certain places, or these booths. They look like little huts that are all around your city and Jewish communities, because they are the bloodline of those who were drawn out. Now, some of you argue, well, we're the bloodline. I check my blood. I don't have it. It ain't on me. So if you do, then you should be in a booth. But I still do the commemorating of it because I think it's a beautiful thing. But it's the mandatory element for those who are of the bloodline of Israel. So that's a Sukkah, aka Feast of Tabernacles. We told you what that was. That's the dwelling of our Savior Yeshua HaMashiach, meaning Adonai in flesh. Isaiah 9:6, child born, that is Yeshua, son given, that is the Adonai, and the Adonai dwelt in the earth in the form of Yeshua, and the word became flesh. That is the actual reason for the time of tabernacles, Sukkah, aka booths. Last one, aka booth and or season of ingathering. When you've complied all year long from this time of Sukkah to Pesach, which is coming in the spring, to Shavuot, which is coming in the summer, and then be guided all the way through back up to Sukkah again, which is where you would finally come to Teshuvah. You would finally come back to the Father, a place that Yeshua HaMashiach would literally be in type and in order and in prophecy, preparing for us to come into. So the feasts are far greater than you know. I got to stop because that's not this Proceeding Words lesson. That's going to be tonight. And for those of you who are celebrating Sukkah, anybody out there proclaiming Sukkah, come on off microphone. Moderators, give everybody a microphone in the space. I want you guys to grab your microphone so you can learn and understand some things that are going to be important. Did Clubhouse do something to our rooms? Is there something that's going on why we don't have? Well, maybe we're just not popular. Okay, so we'll just fix that. So moderators, if you would, just make sure everybody has a microphone because I want you guys to proclaim Sukkah. You're in the day, you're still in the season. And today, if you are entering into Sukkah, if you've already come into your sundown, you are in a double Sabbath. You are in the Sabbath of the seventh day, which this year has happened to fall on the Shabbat of a Moed'im. And that is a double blessing. That is you being under open heaven. For those of us laboring to enter in, can't wait. I'm proclaiming Sukkah. I proclaim Shabbat. It is a delight. I deem it Oneg. I deem it Kabal. I deem it Kodesh. I'm going to Kodesh Elohim. I'm going to literally worship unto him because it is who he is and what he would for me and you to do. Right? So man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. If you're coming in on the Facebook or the YouTube screens, I want you guys to hit the heart sign, hit the like sign. I want you to comment. I want you to subscribe to YouTube. I want you to like the Facebook page, not the comment, like the page, VWJ Ministries, and YouTube. Would you subscribe, hit that bell, and then look for subscriptions or look for notifications whenever we go live so you can tune in when those times come without delay. All right, I see you guys proclaiming Sukkah. I wish I could get some voices to make that sound because you know when you say it, just typing it in is great. There you go. Get those proclamations out. Let the atmosphere know. Do y'all know y'all live in a voice-activated kingdom? Like for real, for real. I mean, you really do live in a voice-activated kingdom for real, for real. I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the next coming weeks on Proceeding Word, dealing with this. You've heard me joke around on my social media live, some of you who follow me, and Siri disappeared. I still haven't found Siri. Siri left. There was a sound that pushed Siri out, and I got to get Siri back, right? But you know, we live in a voice, a sound, an emittance atmosphere and environment. And you need to pay attention to that because what you say, what you speak, how you talk, what you put forward, all of this, beloved, I promise you, affects your world. Your voice affects your world. If a lion's roar can paralyze a jungle, we live in a voice-activated kingdom. If your scream in peril can put someone's blood in a curling posture and their spirit in anxiety, You live in a voice activated kingdom. So these sound waves affect a lot more than we think. We'll talk about that during the week. But today, your sound from you mentally and verbally having the word surfing on that sound, you're creating the kingdom of Elohim in the earth. It's not you jumping up and down and shouting. That's all good. That's celebratory, right? It's not you, it's not you praying about your needs. That's not it. But it is about carrying the word of Elohim on the ohm, on the hertz, on the wattage of your voice. Carrying his word in your voice creates the kingdom of Elohim in the earth, and you find yourself in what we know to be the commonwealth of Israel. Now, some of you have been preparing for this. We had an unfortunate scenario on yesterday where we were dealing with a couple of family matters, of our ministry, who happened to be in this region, and we were able to physically aid as was absolutely necessary in that case, and it prohibited us from finishing. As you're looking at the board, those of you on Clubhouse, you may want to go to YouTube or Facebook because we're using the board again today. We're going to be talking quickly about this before I have to go over to not UK, to Ghana for their Sabbath entry. And those of you who can get over to Facebook or YouTube, VWJ Ministries on either, you will be watching what we're doing live with our Bible also. So if you don't have visual of this, you're probably going to want it and need it. All right. So head on over there and we'll start viewing from there. It's always a joy and a pleasure. But we were unable to come back and finish this lesson from breaking down Numbers chapter 29 in the seasons. And we called this, when we did this, it's a necessity to understand that these are the Moed'im. Today's topic is going to be Sukkah and the other Moed'im, both their practicality and their functionality. All right. So make sure we're going to be making proclamations today. So moderators, make sure in Clubhouse, everybody has a microphone. Those of you who are with us on YouTube and Facebook, get ready to type your things into the threads so you can have some sense of declare and propaganda. All right. And propaganda is not a bad thing. It's just a great thing when you understand what it does on your behalf. That's why speaking out of place and just screaming and shouting can be very effective and can be very problematic at the same time. But it's designed to be your solution to so many things in life. All right. So today we're talking about the Sukkah and other Moed'im, the practicality and the functionality of them. So let's get into the writ. I'm going to pull up the Bible and go to Numbers chapter 29. We're going to try to conclude what we started last, I think it was Sunday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, because Thursday we're supposed to conclude it, and we could not due to technical and ministerial mandatory issues. So Numbers chapter 29. Let's go real quick. And by the way, let me say this. Preceding word, and those of you who are part of DKM Ministries and those of you who are part of VWJ Ministries, I almost preached the whole sermon this morning to the South Africa and Uganda and China and the Vietnam group. And I had to pull myself back because it started getting real good. So I'm gonna give a little bit more to Ghana as they come on. I'm gonna give a little bit more to the UK as they come on. And then at 7 o'clock, we're gonna give even more. But tonight at 10:30 on the Daras Kingdom Ministries in Clubhouse, we're going to be bringing the full Monty of this message together. And the more you hear it, the more redundancy you get it before we give you the actual punchline and the conclusion, the more you will appreciate what Elohim has done and is doing, and watch this, will continue to do until he comes back in the seasons of Sukkot. You'll never want to stop doing the feasts. Contrary to what anything you hear in Christianity, anything you hear from Bible thumpers, anything you hear from, whoever, you'll understand that there was a real plan for humanity, not for one type of people. And it's love that people, but this is so deep. So try to come back and enjoy and be here to enjoy and encounter that teaching. All right, let's go to Numbers chapter number 29. You ready? Let's get there. Let's get it done. Numbers chapter number 29. You guys read with us before. Everybody was saying, well, Apostle, we know that Yahweh has given us a charge. Every man is supposed to do something. And there are ways that this is done. And when people read Numbers 29, they panic, they freak out. They're like, what is this? Why do you give so much and all of this? And are we supposed to give all of that? We talked about that. I'm going to just pick up where we left off at, but I will read through Numbers 29 just to give us a very quick synopsis on this. In the 7th month on the first day, verse 1, you shall have a holy convocation. Y'all did that for the blowing of the shofars. It says you shall do no work. It's a blowing of the shofars. You shall offer a burnt offering for a sweet savor unto Yahweh, 1 young lamb, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without blemish. That's Israel. Correct. Verse 3 says, and their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deal of the bullock, 2/10 deals for a ram, 1/10 deal for 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs. Throughout the 7 lambs, each lamb has 1/10 deal of this element we call the meat offering. Verse number 5 says, there's 1 kid for the goat, for a 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering to make atonement for you. Now, you all know, we'll always emphasize this. We no longer give the sin offering. Does anybody know why we no longer give the sin offering, whether it's a goat, a bull, or whatever it is? We no longer give the sin offering. Does anybody want to help me teach this a little bit? If you remember it, you know it, or maybe you're guessing at it. Just come off mic, say your name, and tell me why we no longer give the sin offering. Anybody want to take a shot at it?
Lindo.
Okay, Lindo, go.
Because Yeshua became our sin sacrifice.
Okay, once she woke up, she told us that Yeshua became our sin sacrifice. Thank you, Lindo. Glad we woke you up out your sleep on that one. Or you just probably chilling. I don't know. You might be just sitting under the sun. Okay, good. So that's true. But the answer is accurate because Yeshua HaMashiach is our sin offering. So let me be very clear about this as we move closer or more into to this passage here. I want y'all to look me in my eyes and understand that when people tell you that Jesus paid it all, it's related to sin. The sin offering for your ability to receive from Elohim is paramount. It is mandatory. You can't get from Elohim unless you come through Yeshua HaMashiach. To come through Yeshua HaMashiach means you have to believe in his finished work. Lindo, what was his finished work?
He died on the cross.
Thank you. He died as the Lamb of Elohim, which happened in Roman times to be a tool called the cross. He died so you and I could live. So it's his blood, it's his death, it's his burial, it's his resurrection that gives you and I life, and more importantly, access to Elohim and his provisions in glory. Elohim will supply all of the human need according to Elohim's riches in a place called glory. But you can only come into glory by the finished work of Yeshua HaMashiach. So when we say Yeshua paid it all, he did not do away with the offerings in Numbers 29, Leviticus 27, Leviticus 23, Deuteronomy 16, Deuteronomy 20. He did not do away with those. The only thing he did away with was offerings like Leviticus chapter number or Numbers 29, verse 5 here, when it says 1 kid goat for a sin offering. So Yeshua paid every sin offering. He paid, as we love to cry and sing, the ransom. See, once I've been ransomed from my abductors, from my actual, what do we call those? I said abductions, from your abductor, from your kidnapper, from your person of incarceration. Once you've been freed, now you have the right to live liberated. Messiah paid the ransom that you could be free again. That is huge, because now you can stand before the Father, and whatever the Father has for you, you now have access to it. But you must first be free from your oppressor. You must first be free from your proclivities. You must first be free from your propensities. You must first be free from the enemy's hold on your life. And that is done by you accepting the finished work, his death, his burial, his resurrection, and then be cleansed by the only thing that can remove from you your sins, and that was the blood that came from the veil of his flesh. So that's what Yeshua paid when he paid it all. He paid the sin offering. You can read that in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 5 through 8 as well, just so you have it from two different places of the Bible. All right, so let's get back to Numbers chapter number 29. We've got a little bit of work to do here. Let's talk real quick about it. So in Numbers chapter number 29, verse number 5, he says, you're going to give one kid of the sin offering, one kid of the goat for a sin offering to make atonement for you. Messiah is our atonement. Now we practice and we memorialize, or pardon me, we rehearse the Day of Atonement, because that day has not manifested yet, and we are to be rehearsing it because it's soon to come. Verse number 6 says, now beside the burnt offering of the month and his meat offering, Elohim's meat offering, and the daily burnt offering and his meat offering and their drink offerings, according unto their manner for a sweet savor, a sacrifice by fire unto Yahweh. I want y'all to say this with me. Verse 6 is for the priests.
Verse 6 is for the priests. Verse 6 is for the priests.
Now, y'all just said that because I asked y'all to say that. Can anybody tell me why I say it? Anybody know why? Just a thought real quick. You can be right or wrong. It don't matter. There's no right or wrong answer. We just want to see if anybody's really paying close attention to what he does in this process. Why is verse 6 for the priests? Doreen and Wanda Clark. Doreen, go first.
Oh, my thought's gone. Because they have to present it first to lead the way.
Okay.
Offered.
Now I'm going to say, yeah, your thought left you because you had I know you had another thought there. That thought is directed to the 10th day of Tishri. That thought would be connected to, and that was, I'm glad you brought it up though. That thought is connected to the time of Yom Kippur, when the priests lead in that individually, right? This is just a little bit differently, but you're on the right path. All right. Thank you, Doreen, for your ad. Wanda, what you got?
Shalom. What I was going to say is because they are the Levites and they were the priests. So they're the only ones that can do that.
Okay, and that's good. That's true. Those are facts. The issue is why are they doing this? It's not just because they're Levites, though only the Levites can actually do this, right? But what is the reason for verse 6? So that's great information. I'm glad you guys thought, because many of us are having those same thoughts and those same shares. Neither one of you are wrong with the fact that it is the Levites' responsibility. I love Doreen's piece that they have to lead the way. They guide and show people how this is supposed to be done according to his word. However, that where she was coming from is more specifically about something in Sukkot, which is Yom Kippur, when the priests had to go in first and do sacrifice for themselves because everybody else is going to have to do the same thing, and they lead in that, okay? And they're over the tabernacle. And as far as Wanda's point go, it's like only, this is something that only the priests can, the Levites can, actually make sacrifices on the altar, right? We can bring them to the priest, but the priest got to do it. Well, it goes deeper. So let's look at this and why we say in this passage, why is Numbers 29 verse 6 for the priest? Here's why. If you go back up to verse number 1, I want to hear this. In the 7th month of the 1st day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. Does anybody doubt that this is Yahweh speaking to Moshe to tell the people of Israel, you guys are to have a holy convocation? Does anybody believe that to be true? Give me a thumbs up, a heart sign or something.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
We believe that true. Okay. So we have no doubt that verse 1 is talking about Yahweh wanting the children of Israel to do this. What are they going to do? Verse 1, they're going to blow the shofar, right? We did that, right? Okay. Verse 2, and then the people of Israel are going to offer a burnt offering of sweet savor unto Yahweh, 1 bullock, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without blemish, right? Those offerings, as we taught you before, each bull, ram, or lamb has a meat offering and or a drink offering that goes with that, right? Now, verse 3, verse 2, just listen. I promise it's going to make sense to you. You shall offer a burnt offering. Now, remind yourselves, a burnt offering is cattle. Remind yourselves, a burnt offering is live cattle.
A burnt offering is like.
Okay, that's what a burnt offering is, because people get mixed up with a meat offering and they think that that's a lamb or a bull. That's not an offering. That's the meat offering is not that. A meat offering is just what he tells you right here in verse 3. So verse 2 says, you shall offer a burnt offering, a cattle. What's it going to be? A young lamb, a young bull, 7 lambs, a ram. Excuse me, let me say it right. A young bull, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year, and that will be without blemish. That's your burnt offering, and that's the specificities to it, without blemish, right? Verse 3. And on top of that burnt offering you people are going to offer, you're then going to give a meat offering, which shall be a flour mingled with oil. That's a meat offering, flour mingled with oil, right? And then he gives you the measurements for these meat offerings, because the burnt offerings each have a meat offering that go with them. So if you bring a bull, how much of a meat offering do you bring? How much flour mingled with oil do you bring? Well, he tells you, verse 3, there shall be 3/10 deals for a bullock. So you bring 3/10 deals of wine mingled with oil, flour mingled with oil, whenever you sacrifice the burnt offering, specifically the bullock. Then verse 3 tells you, and then there's going to be 2/10 deals of mingled flour and oil for a ram. And then verse 4 says there will be 1/10 measurement, 1/10 deal of flour mingled with oil for each lamb. And there will be 7 lambs. Now we are going to negate verse 5 because Yeshua HaMashiach took care of verse 5, right?
Yes, sir.
So now repeat this after me. Come on, get ready to get off your microphones. Everybody put your finger on your mic. Come on, ready? Here it is. I want y'all to say this. Say these verses. I'm going to say this, but when I finish it, you repeat after me and say, these are for Israel. These are for us. So verses 1 through 4 are for Israel's compliance. Say these are for us.
These are for us.
Y'all was real slow, and I know I prepared y'all. Let's try it again, see if we can do it in unity so we can be in unity. You know it's good to be in unity, right? Say, these are for us.
These are for us.
All right, okay. And that's what you understand. So that's for the instruction of the people of Israel. Now, verse 6 is why we're here, right? Verse 6 says something different. It says, beside the burnt offering of the month. What you mean the burnt offering of the month? And his meat offering, meaning there's a burnt offering that's given every month, and then there's a meat offering that goes with that burnt offering. Did we not see the template right there? Yes, we did. And then there is a daily Then there is a daily burnt offering. And then there is a meat offering for the daily burnt offering. And then there's a drink offering for the daily burnt offering. And they're all giving according unto their manner. Now, the manner, again, is the order in which they are given. The word manner is the word, as I taught you last day, a couple of days ago, it's mitzvah. Mitzvah means the proper way, and the verdict, it means the pronounced judicially instruction. It means a formal decree. It means participation of a divine decree, the divine instruction, whether it's for individuals or collectively. It is including the act. It is including the place. It is including the suit. It is including the crime, the penalty, the justice abstractly, but it's including participation for an instruction. So that's what manner means, right? It means mitzvah. So he says in verse 6, again, redundantly for a reason, beside their burnt offerings of the month and that burnt offerings meat offering, and beside the daily burnt offering, because y'all realize that you just switched to something. There is a monthly offering, right? Then there is a daily burnt offering, and then those offerings each have meat offerings. And the daily burnt offering also has a drink offering that goes with it, and it's according to the mitzvah. And that is done for what? A sweet savor. It is a sacrifice made by fire unto Yahweh. Now, verse 6, say verse 6 is for the priests. So before y'all freak out and panic, which most people have been unable to sort of kind of break this down, what happens in verse 6 is the normal administration of the Levites who are responsible for the tabernacle. Every month they render a burnt offering specifically for sweet savor to Yahweh with its meat offering. However, every day the tabernacle offers a daily burnt offering with its meat offering and its drink offering. Why? For a sweet savor before Yahweh our Elohim. So that is the administration of the Levitical order. That's the priesthood responsibility. That is not for the people. Now, the problem with the passage, for many of you who've not read and studied, and though you're understanding a lot about the Hebrew, is that we've been, when Moshe put this down, they knew what he was writing, but when it got written down, they just shot it all together. It's now looking like this hodgepodge, and everybody's got to do all of this. I got to give a monthly offering. I got to give a daily offering. Oh my God, the people had to give this, and I had people panic. And though they love the feast, can I say this? Because I want y'all all to stop doing it. They love the feast. They love the fact that you're learning Torah in a better way. You now connect the Bible. You understand why we do what we do in Christendom. You understand why we do it right or why we do it wrong. You know how to, in all you're getting, you now have an understanding. But then it comes to the point where I'm really glad to know this. I'm really glad to do these feasts. And I know there's blessings connected to each feast. Each feast is specific with a set of blessings. You know, Yom Teruah, there's a separate set of blessings. Then there's Yom Kippur. That's a separate set of blessings that Yahweh's pouring into you. Tishri 15, that's a separate set of blessings. Tishri 22, today. I'll teach y'all about that in your Sabbaths. There's a separate set of blessings that go with that. However, there is an offering for each believer to render Elohim. Those offerings, according to verses 1 through 4, are the offerings you and I are responsible for. Verse 6 is for the tabernacle and the Levites that are there to do in order to keep the house a sweet savor to Yahweh. So the priests do verses number 6. And there's some other verses in here they do as well. Because many people were saying, oh my God, I got to give a lamb on the first, a lamb and a bullock if I'm a leader on the 10th. I got to give another lamb on the 15th and a lamb each day until the 22nd. So when I read verses 1, the reality is each of us have to give a lamb. We have to give a bull. We have to give a ram. Right? That's what the writ says. So what we do is we bring it to your knowledge, but only those who read that and are now making this a lifestyle, who begin to inquire about the lifestyle. How do I stay properly dressed in this lifestyle? How do I walk according to the dictates of the edict that Yahweh has given in the word? Then you start reading like, this is more than I bargained for. I ain't got to do this in my church. I know, but this is what his word says. We didn't make it up. Now, when you see verses 1 through 4, remember, we're now removing verse 5, not taking it from the Bible. You now know that Yeshua is the sacrifice for that, right? So verses 1 through 4 are instructions for the human. Verses 6 and some others are instructions for the priestly responsibilities as a group. So the priests, not all of them, all the priests as a priesthood bring to burn. I'm going to put this on the board. Some of y'all might be able to see it. Some of y'all can't. Okay, it's full screen. They bring, because Yahweh asked it, every month a burnt offering. I'm going to say B. That's monthly, right? Every month they do this, and it's drink offering. Then it's meat offering. Then they have to do daily, one burnt offering daily, right? And then it's meat and it's drink offering daily. Are y'all understanding that?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
So for those of y'all who started panicking about the fact that, oh my God, this is crazy. That's not do your job. That's the priest's job while the tabernacle was existing. Y'all got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nobody want to say anything about that? Y'all okay? Okay. All right. So if you got a question, feel free to ask it. I got a few minutes before I got to get over to Uganda, to Ghana. All right. So that's what I wanted to make sure you guys understood. So you do have every day your lamb, right? And if you are leadership as a priest, which Doreen brought out, you brought your bull, your ram, and your lamb on that 10th day, and you led in with the priest in that processional. You had to sacrifice for you sacrificed for your family, and then you were leading the people, showing them how it's done, showing them the process of the processional and the actual posture of heart, mind, and the solemnity, the solemn attitude that goes along with that. And that is how the priesthood led Israel in all things tabernacle. And all things tabernacle are found where, y'all?
Israel.
All things tabernacle are found where?
Sukkot.
Okay, so all things relating to the tabernacle and how it's to be cared for, the Levites are the ones to do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the Levites are the ones to take care of the tabernacle because the Levites did not get an inheritance of land, right?
Yes, that's right.
So the Levites are responsible for the tabernacle, right?
Okay.
So all things tabernacle maintenance, requirements, responsibilities, and duties come from where?
Priesthood and the Levites.
All things tabernacle instructions for maintenance, care, all things tabernacle for the priests to do come from Wanda. Y'all know y'all drugged that out of me, right? And I know y'all all, you're like, oh, we know it. You're like, oh, what was we thinking? So I'm proud of y'all, but y'all took y'all did that Christian thing right there. Y'all did way too much get me to my end result. Now, can we, I'm just, Father.
I think it's how you said it. It was almost a trick question.
It is designed to be a trick question because in the custom of Israel and in the custom of learning Torah, y'all ever seen, there is a show that's still on television to this day, I think they still got they got a replacement for him. Alex Trebek. Do y'all know that show he had? Y'all know Alex Trebek? He was the game show host for a show called Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you understand how Jeopardy operates as a template?
Yes, sir.
Tell me how Jeopardy operates as a template.
You have to answer in the form of a question.
So any question you get, you have to answer the question with a question.
Yes.
Most don't know the value of that and for your psyche. So in the custom of what we call Bet Midrash, which is early school, middle school, Bet Sephar, early school. So in Bet Sephar, from age 4 to 8, Bet Sephar, you are learning content. In Bet Midrash, middle school, 8 to 12, you are learning the content backwards. But all through Bet Sephar, all through Bet Midrash, the one thing that the rabbis and the professors do to its students is to have them answer a question, and to prove they know the question in context, they are required to answer the question with a question, and sometimes multiple questions for the question they was given. This is how the professor knows you know the answer for real. And you know how to get to the answer in multiple ways. So yes, when you work with me, I'm always going to give you a question, and I'm going to put it in a way that you have to remember the content you've already received. No question I ever give you will not be based on the content just given. Every question will be based on, I say it again, what was just given you. So you don't have to think. I'm not going to ask a question that I'm not just giving you the answer to. And that's a big problem in Christendom, because we think we got to go out into the stars, into the sky, and into the deep depths of everything. And Messiah never asked them a question that he didn't just give them an answer to. He talked about it and then says, so what you know about that? And that's how he would mess up the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He would actually use their content to give them back a question so that they could answer. But they proved they were not worthy of what they're supposed to do in the tabernacle because they were so bent on trying to prove him wrong, they missed the simplicity of the request. So yes, we operate and train that way. So again, the question is, the priesthood is responsible for the tabernacle. So the instructions for the priests about the tabernacle are found where?
In the Torah.
So now y'all get that, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we can move on, because many people always say, amen, oh, I got it. Yeah, I do. But you really don't. And my job is to make sure even the simplest of things you latch onto. So when you leave this meeting, though it may be one thing, that one thing you know forever. So when you hear the instructions for the tabernacle, the priests oftentimes in their responsibilities, how Moshe wrote, would be right on the heels of what Israel was to do. Now, the thing is, the priests and Israel were reminded of these things so regularly that the writings, when they heard them, they knew which ones were assigned to the priests. They knew which ones were assigned to the citizens, even if it wasn't taken and spelled all the way out with, subsection priest only, subsection Levites, because when they go into the learning and the reading of the Torah, the Levites and the priests and the leaders of the home would break it down. This is what the Levites do. And you would see, they would see the priest doing this every month. They would see the priest, if you walk by, doing this every day. So they knew, well, we don't do that. That's what the priests do. Now, this right here in the seventh day, first day of the seventh month, we know that's us. And then when he'll tell you that the priests and the Levites, that's why Yoel's writing in Joel chapter 2 would say, let the priests who are the ministers of Yahweh go before between the porch and the altar, bringing their sacrifice in front of the people. Let them offer first so the people could see. And when they were done, the people knew how to approach Elohim. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
All right. So in verse number 7, it says, back to the word here, and we got to get going because I got to go talk to some people in Ghana real quick. And those of you from countries who are already in your Shabbat. If you're already in the Shabbat, you're already in the Moed'im, you're past your sundown, you can come on in. If you're not past your sundown, do not come in the room. Okay, it'll be on Clubhouse. But at 7 p.m. tonight, my dear country of Jamaica, they're an hour behind us. They can come in if we're still going, but those we prefer that they also, Jamaica, y'all come in with the 10:30 group, unless we're running late, and we're an hour behind Jamaica, I think. So you guys can come in if we're still up. Once your sundown kicks in, you can pop in. But Central Mountain and Pacific and Hawaii, you guys don't come in until the 10:30 programming. All right. So verse 7 says, you shall have on the 10th day, everybody say 10th day, verse 7, say 10th day. Now we know he's talking about the people when he starts talking about the day. So this, you shall have on the 10th day, a holy convocation, you shall afflict your souls. Was that just the priest, y'all?
No.
Right. You shall do no work therein. Is that just the priest, y'all?
No.
Because you know what's funny? On the 10th day, it's the priests that are working.
That's right.
That's why some of y'all are like, Apostle, why are you doing all this work? This is what we do. This is when we work. Because why? Let me say this to y'all. Can I shock some of y'all with something? I really need your permission to do this. Can I shock some of y'all with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, I want to shock y'all with this. All right, remember how we've been saying as pastors and leaders within Christendom that we are servant leaders? Y'all know that phrase?
Yes.
I need y'all to talk to me because I'm feeling sort of kind of weird and I got to get running to Ghana. So y'all gonna talk to me. Let me know y'all hear me. So you ever heard the phrase servant leader?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it on the board. Servant leader, right? Now, it's an interesting thing because I'm going to go to Yoel chapter 2 just to show y'all something. I can do it in the numbers. I can do it in the Torah, but I'm going to do it from the prophet because it's one that you've read before and you'll understand it better and quicker. Look at verse number 17. Now, I'm putting it on the board so y'all can see it. Some of you should be able to go there, Leviticus or Yoel chapter 2, verse 17. Look at what it says. I'm going to put it up so y'all can see it. All right. Look closely. Verse 17. Now we know for a fact that Yoel is under the instruction of Elohim. He says, let the priests. Matter of fact, somebody do me a favor. I need a reader. Can somebody read that for me?
Read that, sir.
Who is it?
Ben.
All right, Ben, read it for me. Go.
Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar.
Okay, great. That's what he tells them to do, right? So let me ask this question to the mass, to the group, and I want y'all participation. Thank you, Brother Ben. I want y'all participation. Please get ready to use your microphones. Let me ask you a question. So when y'all read that, he's like, let the priests and the ministers, right?
That's correct.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Brother Ben, is that what you read?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Priest and the minister.
Read it, Brother Ben.
Can you put it back on the screen?
Boy, if you don't bring your own, this is a BYOB, man. This is a bring your own Bible event. You can't be getting into heaven on my coattails. You are so, I thought you, I'm so disappointed. My heart.
My bad.
Read it, Brother Ben.
Let the priest, the minister of Yahweh.
KYC, I need y'all to kick in because I'm gonna feel like y'all education need to be taken back.
Comma.
Oh,
Yes.
what did you see?
Let the priest, comma, the minister of Yahweh, comma.
So is this the priest and the minister, or is this the priest and they describe what a priest does?
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow.
That part.
Absolutely.
Never caught that. Thank you.
That's why we do it that way. So understand this. Here's why we say this. Y'all run around here talking about we servant leaders. I serve the people of God and all of this. All of us are serving the people of God because I am to do to my neighbor per Torah. I am to do unto my neighbor as I would have done unto me. Say I'm serving.
I'm serving.
Come on, y'all use your mics. I need some more. Y'all say I'm serving.
I'm serving.
And you're not necessarily an ordained minister, are you?
No.
But the Bible, when I watch, this is where it gets deep. The Bible declares that we are all able-bodied ministers. Y'all automatically, because of Catholic influence, made y'all think we are all able-bodied ministers. You thought you supposed to be walking around here in a robe and a collar and a hat and a mitre and a scepter. You know, I'm a minister. I'm a minister. I'm a minister. You have made professional ministry mess up Elohim's original intent.
Thank you for that clarity, Apostle. Ouch.
Because our job is to do unto others as one we would have them do unto you. What does the second commandment? What did Messiah say when y'all got twisted thinking that he did away with the commandments? He said, hang the commandments of the Torah on these two principles. Meaning, if you do these two things, you will literally be doing all 613. What was the first one he says? Love Yahweh your Elohim with your whole heart, mind, body, and energy. Secondly, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Wow. Deep.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it hit different. So now when you understand that that's what an able-bodied minister, we're all able to minister that way. The word minister, let's pull it up from Yoel. The word minister does not mean, the professional person. I got my degree, you got your degree. We all got our ordination papers and we got our oil and they done spit on our head and pushed us in oil and I had 80 people praying over me, hands on me. It's a lovely experience for humanity. It's a lovely embracing and embracing of people who are working for the Lord. And we are men and women of the cloth. And Yahweh didn't make us men and women of the cloth. Sorry, let me go read this. So ministers, oh, I got in trouble. I was cool with y'all until then, whatnot. Watch this. Minister, here's the word for shroth. That word means attends as a menial or as a worshiper. He contributes, he ministers unto, he does service unto, he waits on. Now watch this. Somebody say he waits on. Say the minister serves.
The minister
The minister serves.
Okay, this is I promise y'all gonna enjoy this. Here is the trick of this. Here is the Jeopardy moment. Say this with me. And I want more of y'all to come off mic. I'm gonna wait. You got your finger on it? When I say it with me. Say the minister of God. Say it.
The minister of God.
And that's what we're all aspiring to be in the church when we go get our degrees in seminaric and Bible college and theological degrees. We're trying to be servants of God, right?
No.
Yeah, you are. That's why you got that degree. You're trying to be a servant of God. See, now some of y'all trying to think ahead of me because you know I'm giving y'all a trick question, but I'll make sure you don't know the doorway to come to until we get to the door. So we're all trying to be servants of God, which means you serve the people of God. Now say it, Wanda.
No.
Thank you. All right. You're not a servant of the people. You're a servant of Elohim.
Hallelujah.
Let that sink in. Let's look at what Yoel just taught you. Y'all gonna act like y'all knew this all your lives, and some of y'all are like, what is he talking about? He always speaking Greek. He said he don't like Greek. Why he speak Greek so much to me? Listen, look at the verse. Look at the verse, and y'all got to get this because this is important to some of y'all who are killing yourself serving people. That ain't your job. Your job is to serve Elohim. Look at verse 17. Let the priests who are servants of Yahweh. Let the priests who are servants of Yahweh. It didn't say servants of the people. This is what, listen, I feel a shift in my innermost man. Listen, you are servants of Elohim. And as you serve Elohim, because you've been so enthralled with his instructions and the compliance of his instructions, that people who may be considering it can see how it's done through you serving Elohim. And that's how you lead the people.
Amen.
Okay.
All right.
You don't lead the people by standing over top of them, browbeating them. You ain't do this right. You don't do this right, and God gonna get with you. And if you don't do right by me, God ain't gonna never bless you unless you do. No. The look at the word. Look at the wording. It's not the only place. It's just the best place to bring the drama I need for it. Let the priests who are the servants, who are the sharath of Elohim, not the sharath of people. If you serve Elohim, then you keep his commandments. What do you do when you keep his commandments? You love your neighbor as yourself. That's serving Elohim. So they get a residual because you are compliant to Elohim's instructions. Your job, pastor, leader, prophet, evangelist, teacher, is to serve Elohim. They will see your good works. That's what glorifies our Father, which is in heaven. And then they will ask you, how can I be down? And you're like, well, I'm heading this way. I'm reading it by this instruction. You can follow me, but that don't mean I'm the boss of you. That means I'm leading you to where I'm going, which is my source. And we lift up our heads to the hills from whence cometh our help. So if you want to come and you real about this, I'm going this way. I can't turn around and help you. I can't be there. That's not my job because I got to learn too. But y'all, I'm going this way. I got the book. Even though Siri left me, I still got the best GPA system on the planet. Come on, you want to follow me? Let's go. You are servants of Elohim, not servants of the people. That's why pastors are committing suicide.
Wow.
Trying to serve people. You can't fix people so fickle. People pick a pepper. People.
Be careful.
Leave them jokers alone. Follow Elohim. people nosy. They see you following Elohim. They see favor falling on you. They're going to come near to that because they want it too. And guess what? It's available for them. All you're supposed to do is be a follower of Elohim. Remember the song? We sang it, but it was cute. We didn't really understand it. I want to be a follower of Christ. I want to be one of his disciples. I want to walk in the newness of life. I want to be a follower of Christ. Now, if you follow Christ, did you know Christ didn't serve the people? What? He gave them 2 fish and 5 loaves. He gave them a quick 2-piece meal. Yes, he did. He healed that man. No, he didn't. He obeyed the Father. Healing is the children's bread. He served the Father. A child came near. He said, you know you can be healed. He served the Father. The Father wants that child healed. You didn't get that yet. Wait a second. So when he tells you, listen, when he goes, in fact, and feeds these people who are now sitting there waiting on him to finish talking because they lost track of time, because Messiah was speaking the words of Elohim over the masses, answering the questions. He wasn't serving the people. He was serving Elohim because the priest's job was to give the word to the people so the people could make the change. Messiah didn't serve the people. He served Elohim. Messiah showed them how to live in this body. I didn't come to destroy the Torah. I didn't come to destroy the prophets who propagated the Torah. I came to show you how to live the He didn't serve the people. He served the Father, and the people saw him. I know you love your pastor because I love mine too. But there's a way this is done. I'm not sure if this is blessing y'all.
Yes, sir. It's a blessing. Thank you, sir.
Indeed.
And this is why we so tired when we get done. Now, when the priest gets done, look at the priest's job. The priest's job was not to go throughout the tabernacle or go out throughout the city serving the people. Listen, the people brought the people brought their bodies and presented their bodies to the tabernacle. Who was in the tabernacle?
The priest.
The priest. So when in fact the priests were in the tabernacle and the people came to the tabernacle, a priest met you at the tabernacle door and took your sacrifice. Did they serve you?
No,
No.
Because you were serving Elohim by bringing your sacrifice. They are priests. They are servants unto Elohim. Not you. I'm quite certain the emails will be in my cache today. When we understand our job is to serve Elohim, if you want to deem yourself a leader, then you lead by doing the instructions of Elohim. That's your job. People will see your God works and glorify Elohim. Man, you do different. Man, you operate different. Man, you walk different. Man, how you get that? Man, how'd you get favor? Man, how did you walk away? How did you come out? How did you get over? I serve Elohim. I want to come to where you are. Okay, great. I'll open up a place we can study the word of Elohim so you can get close to Elohim. If you're really curious and you really want to know, I'll share with you where it is. You can come see a man. You can come see this word, and I'll make sure you get it. How about that? Sure, I'll come. And where we got twisted us, once we got them to come, then all of a sudden we're lording over the people. Oh, that's not what we're supposed to do. When the people come, we're supposed to focus even more on making sure we give the proper example. And we focus on serving Elohim even the more in front of them. And that requires studying together, dwelling together. Notice it says, oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together. It doesn't say for one to rule over the next. Servant leader. You are a servant to Elohim because you are leading the people in how you serve Elohim. Instead, we got people, once you get your degree, wanting people to serve you. Did y'all know that the people never served the priests? They marked them who walked according to the instructions of the Torah, propagated from the tabernacle. That's why Paul says, mark them that walk worthily. That's why Paul says, walk worthy of your vocation. You don't serve the priests. Nobody served Caiaphas except for the people who were there to do what they did as tabernacle people. But the people didn't serve Caiaphas. The people didn't serve Nebuchadnezzar. They served Elohim. And when they had questions about Elohim, they came to them because they're supposed to be more focused on all things tabernacle, because their priestly inheritance, their natural inheritance was serving Elohim. So the people who got an inheritance in the world with land and cattle and mines and rivers and oil, they, after they finished working, focused on their work, could come back and get a quick look at, okay, this is how we serve God now that we did all that work. Okay, the priests, their job is to show us by their lead how this is done. And then they would come in and have us read in the tabernacle the word of Elohim, admonish us to read the Torah. But where Levi messed up, they started then conveniencing the Torah and giving them the halakha, giving them the Mishnah, giving them the Talmud, which was basically a commentary of the actual instructions they were supposed to be demonstrating. That's why I want to be a follower of Messiah. He never deviated from the Torah. He didn't take the route of the Mishnah. He didn't take the route of the Talmud. He didn't take the route of the Halakha. He stayed Torah. And they, in that vein, couldn't recognize what he was doing. He was a servant to Yahweh who was showing the people and being a leader because he was showing the people how to serve Yahweh. He wasn't telling them to serve Yahweh and then telling them, because I'm giving you this, you bow down and give me praise. You put me up on a pole. You put me up on a pedestal. Now, they did put him up on a pedestal. They did put him up on a pole, according to prophecy. But you get what I'm saying. Did that help anybody today?
Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely.
All right, moderators, who's my question? Because I got to go. Ghana's waiting on me. Matter of fact, what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to incorporate Ghana into UK at 3:30 because I'm not going to be able to get done and over to that platform fast enough. All right. So Ghana, I'm going to have to incorporate. You know what? No, let me keep my word. Let me keep my word. Somebody bring Marcia up, please. Okay, moderators, who's my cue? What's my question? Ben, go.
Shalom, Apostle.
Go, sir.
The phrase Elohim uses you, and I remember you singing that great song, you can be used by Elohim. it doesn't mean when people who serve, you kind of said it, people who serve Elohim will come to the minister to guide them in Torah, correct?
That is correct. Watch this. When you are in times like the feast season and you have the whole congregation, watch this, in a line. Y'all don't see this when y'all think about this. But Sukkah, I'm going to put this on the board. Sukkah, any of the Moed'im are to this end. Watch. You have the tabernacle, right? Which is where Yahweh wants them to come. The priests are inside the tabernacle, right? And they are waiting at the door of the tabernacle because Yahweh gave an instruction from the Torah that all men should come to the tabernacle. So these little circles I'm going to make with legs, they're going to be people, all right? These little circles are people. Watch this, in a line, because the tabernacle can't hold 1 million people, can it?
No, sir.
No, it can't.
Come on, y'all, talk to me. Can it?
No, it can't.
Okay.
No, you cannot.
Right. So the tabernacle has a doorway. The people would line up according to the instructions on any of these days. They would carry with them, these little blue things on the bottom are their sacrifices. These are their leashed sacrifices, turtle doves, bulls, rams, goats, and they would bring them to the tabernacle, and the priests, they would bring this unto Yahweh. So Yahweh equals Torah, right? Yahweh equals Torah. Say it.
Yahweh equals Torah.
All right. Some of y'all scared. Y'all scared. Y'all real scared. Okay. So Elohim gives us Torah, and that's how we please him. Without faith, it is impossible to please Elohim. So Elohim equals Torah. So to please him, you got to obey his instructions. The priests are the ones who hold and make sure that the Torah is held inside the Ark of the Covenant, inside of the tabernacle. This is just an abbreviated version. So the Torah is what governs the tabernacle. The tabernacle is what tells the people the governance. They then follow the governance. And on these given days, they come to the tabernacle to serve Elohim what he wants. The people do. Now, when the people get to the tabernacle, they run into the priests. The priests take their sacrifice from the door, and then they bring it into the tabernacle, which is where they are to please and serve the Father. So when the people come, they bring their sacrifice not to the priest, but the priest is the servant of Elohim. So the servant of Elohim is actually an extension of Elohim. They're not serving the priest, they're serving Elohim, and the priest is the physical extension in the earth to bring their compliance to full completion. So you're serving Elohim, not the people. The priest's job is to serve Elohim, helping the people comply with the instructions of Elohim, which come from the Torah. Was that too deep on Sabbath? Was that too deep?
Not at all.
So follow up.
Come on, Ben, quick! We live. I can't have dead air.
So follow up. We, like you said, in seminary we are taught to how people, build a big church, big ministry, have a good following. But that's not how the Torah is taught.
Pause right there. People today have been taught to get a big church, to get a big building, and make the people serve the existence of the building.
Right.
Oh, right. That's typically what we have in Christendom across the board. We're worried about the church doors staying open more so than serving Elohim, who is supposed to be the essence of why that building even sits there. Nobody gonna talk to me today.
I hear you, sir.
Okay. So when these people come through, I hope y'all can see that on the screen. They come through and then they turn in to bring their sacrifice. They present their body. The blue is their sacrifice, and they present their sacrifice. All of that comes from the instructions of the Torah. The Torah governs the tabernacle or temple. Supposedly your church. The Torah governs that. So when you serve as a Levite inside, you are serving the Torah. You're making sure it gets out to the people. And then the people, taking the instructions, bring back at the times appointed what the instructions say to do. And you receive that as a priest and render that to Yahweh on his altar. And you do the things that he has given from Torah about tabernacle. You're not serving the people. The people are supposed to be serving Elohim. You're a leader in serving Elohim. I'm going to say it again. Make it a quote. You're not serving the people, priests. The people are serving Elohim because of the Torah, because of the instructions on how to serve Elohim. So the first thing that happens is the Torah disseminates the instructions through the mouthpieces into the people. They should have their own copy as well. They now understand that they got a question about what pleases the Father, how to do it rightly, and then the priests give them that information. That's all the serving that gets done. Now, the Torah is governing the tabernacle. The tabernacle is disseminating to the people. The people are following the instructions. They are serving the Father that way. But when the people come to serve the Father in the tabernacle, they can't get on the altar, but the priests and the Levites do. They then accept it from the people, which is compliant with the Torah, and the people are serving Elohim. And when they come in to serve Elohim, they see the priests leading in that service. It's all pointing to Elohim. Get it? So once it comes in here, the priests then turn it in to Elohim. That's why you have at the back of the tabernacle, the Holy of Holies. Only one priest goes back there. And all these priests are leading up towards that, and they see the high priest, the Gadol Kohanim. He is supposed to be the most immaculate about following the word of Elohim. That's why Levi got fired and Yeshua got hired, because he was the one who is without sin.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
All right, moderators, thank you, Brother Ben, for your question. What's the next question?
Wanda Clark, sir.
Go, Wanda Clark.
Just a statement. Based on this teaching today, it kind of came to in living color for me. The difference, how you differentiate between religion and kingdom, and how being in church and Christendom has taught us that going to divinity school and theology school teaches you religion, opposed to learning Torah, unlearning what I learned in church, right? Having an open mind to hear this and understand this is the kingdom way. People will let you know in leadership, this is my experience, that you have to go to divinity school. You have to, in order to be able to preach. But what you taught today in the whole construct of it is this was never the way of the king to get to the kingdom. You cannot do it that way. So the door that's open to understand kingdom has to be stripped down from your Christian construct to understand the whole concept of the Levites. And when you were teaching, what I can see, what I heard, and what I saw clear in my spiritual eye is that how the Levites had to get fired because they were doing it wrong. And I always had, when I always studied, this goes back to, I think it was in Numbers 34, opposed to Joshua, not opposed, but with Joshua, if I remember, it was Joshua 1 through 12 about the divvying up that Elohim gave to Moshe of the land. the Levites could not get anything because they were too busy. They couldn't till the ground. They couldn't till it because they had too much to do in the tabernacle. So I thank Yahweh, we praise for today's teaching because it came to me live and living color with all the reading and studying that I do in Shabbat with my kingdom ministry for I'm crying and on my own. I get an understanding. Right. I saw it in like in the vision. And I saw it. So Yahweh be praised.
Yahweh be praised. Thank you for adding value.
Your obedience to Yahweh.
Thank you for adding value to that point as someone who's been throughout Christendom and all the different caveats of study and what have you. At the end of the day, you know, our job is to serve Elohim. Everybody's job is to serve Elohim. The phrase says, without faith, it's impossible to please Elohim. It doesn't say without faith, just the congregation. It's without faith, everybody, the priests and everybody. And the priests were operating, though holding faith, without operating faith. Thus you have the phrase, a form of godliness, but denied the very power thereof. So when Messiah showed up, he didn't just have a form, he had the form. And he never denied the power of the word. And that's all he demonstrated. That's all he talked about. He didn't make it convenient because the rich guys was like, well, look, I can't do it this way. What you think God will say if I did it this way? And then the priest will go in and try to figure it out, get a lawyer to come over, and then the scribe will scribe out what they came up with collectively and say, okay, well, we can do it this way, and that should be pleasing to the Father. That's how Levi went left. And Messiah came on. And he was very straight up. You do this, you do that. This is the Torah. It's right there. Go read it. Why y'all doing all this? He didn't say that. Look at what he said here. Do you even know who I am? You know why? Because y'all did all this commentating. You're supposed to know who I am, Levi. You're supposed to tell these people who I am. John the Baptist did. He's a Levite. Why didn't you know who I am, Levi? Oh, because you've been commentating. And you thought John the Baptist was crazy because he was out there and eating wild locusts and honey. And you thought he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puff, but you knew he was a Levite. So you knew not to disrespect that. So you knew it was possible he was a real prophet. But when he did what the prophecy was, made way for me, digressed, decreased, that I could increase, you found me blasphemous. So you don't know me because you don't know me. You don't know me because you've been augmenting the Torah to serve the people. You've been helping the people feel like they're okay with God. Woo!
Oh, apostle.
Ain't nobody gonna get that right now but me and you for the second. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And you make the people feel, you can't make the people feel that they can't never please God. No, but if you don't read his writ, you can't please him. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. Your sermon doesn't please him. Your sermon should be a way of communicating the Torah to the masses so they can go and comply with it and come back and bring their worship to the Father. And you, worshiping the Father as well, can be a lead to him, and they see you in front of them, because all you're supposed to know, priest, is the Torah. Here's another piece that's going to make some of y'all mad at me, but I promise you it'll make you the happiest person on the planet in about 2 weeks. When y'all had that statement that Paul said, Paul built tents, right? And now you have certain dialects and certain doctrines of the faith that are saying pastors and leaders are supposed to, y'all supposed to work. Well, see, the Levites, did they get an inheritance? Did they get a field? Did they get a field to work? Did they get cattle to shepherd? Did they get rivers to mine? Did they get caves to mine? Did they get inheritance?
No,
What was their inheritance?
The tabernacle.
So their job is to do all things tabernacle, and they failed at it. So when you say, well, God don't do, no, everything tabernacle is all things Torah instructions. You follow those instructions. And yes, there are errors of times that have done some simple augmentations. The simplest one of all, which no one gets, is the fact that we no longer give a sin sacrifice. That's what Yeshua came to do. So if you believe in Yeshua, you understand he is the ransom. He did away with the sin sacrifice, though, watch this, it is in the Torah. He made it easier for us to do the Torah. But watch this. When Paul and all the others was out there, you don't have to do this and that. Them preachers gonna get a job. The reason your preachers are failing is because they're working.
Yes, so true, so true.
I think I got a spider web in my studio. I'm gonna get it today though. But I noticed it because y'all was so quiet. I was trying to figure out whether, you know, the place was insulated. But thank y'all for helping me see that spider web. That's why your pastors are failing, because they're not. They're supposed to be 100% Torah. They're supposed to be focusing on all things of getting you his instructions without trying to manipulate it, trying to confuse it, trying to use it to lord over the people. And so if they got to go out here and work and fight with traffic and all the other stuff, their work should be the work of the temple. Did you know that on these days, the priests actually did work? Did you know that every day you worship the Father? That was their job. When you came with your offering, when you came with your vow, when you came with your tithe, the priests took it. They cut it, they watered it, they broke it, they skinned it, they boned it, they filleted it, they chopped it up, they ground it up, they put it in the flesh pots. They did that work. That's their job. But we ain't Levites no more. You're right. We are under Yeshua, not the Levitical order, but we are still under the priesthood. That's what Torah demonstrates. The priests, servants of Elohim. That's what this is about. But y'all so caught up in who you giving money to and what organizations messed it up. Y'all missed the whole point. That priest is supposed to be teaching us in a non-argumentative environment what the Torah says. Those who believe, come and listen. Those who don't, find somewhere else to go and serve. But those priests of Torah teach Torah as much as whenever someone comes down here. See, let me show y'all something. Can I show y'all something? Can I show y'all something? Can I show y'all something?
Yes, sir.
Please, you can.
Y'all still see the people up there, right? I'm on the board, so watch the board. Now, in front of the tabernacle, there is a door there, but there's a place called the Congregation of the Saints. Y'all know what that was for? Y'all know what that was for? You don't? That was where the priests came out and sometimes met the actual people and took the offerings back. But they also came out here and they could sit out here and they could converse about, okay, well, Mr. Levite man, Mr. Priest man, I was reading my Torah at home. Priest like, oh, that's great. Awesome. Well, what does it mean? They're out here conversating about the Torah with those who are supposed to be in here only studying the Torah. So when these people would come, sometimes they come with their offering and say, look, can I talk to a priest? And they would sit out in the congregation of the saints and converse with them about what they thought they understood about the Torah. We've been doing way too much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was fun. I did my job. I got to get going because I'm late for Ghana. Ghana, I love y'all. I hope y'all tuned in. Y'all know I didn't just disrespect y'all. I hope you understand that we're under that flow of his presence right now in the Adonai, and the need to share this. And that's why there's such a big issue about what we're supposed to do at Torah, Sukkah, Pesach, Shavuot, because we're trying to have people serve us as leaders. And as leaders, we're not even supposed to serve the people the way we do. We're supposed to be serving Elohim, and the people that want to serve Elohim, as Pastor Spencer would say, when truth speaks, wisdom will sit and listen. When you see somebody doing it, you'll want to follow them. Paul, again, mark them that walk upright in front of you. Mark them. You could say mock them if you want, like you mock mock time when you march. You know that march mocking of time. I said it wrong, but I think you know what I mean. When you stand still and you mark time, right? And so Paul says, mark them that walk upright before you. Do what they do. They may not be a Levite.
One more question.
They may not be a Levite. They may not be this. They may not be that. But you mark them. If you know they're walking it right, and you know, okay, well, I see that they're doing it right. Mark them. Now you're saying, Apostle, that opens up a whole bunch of rogue abilities, and you just open up. No, I did not. There is still order to Elohim, and he does sanction and set people that are actually doing his will that way. And yes, humanity still helps to identify those who are doing it right. So if anybody does want to learn how to do it right outside of the ones who put hands on them, this is a group you can turn to and look at while they're working. And that's a good, safe way to go. But that group doesn't go off on its own. They work together in unity. Together, not self-ambitions, not self-aspirations, unless that one ambition, that one aspiration is to please the Father. Thank you. What's the last question?
The last question was from Marcius in the comments. It says, were the priests actually working or worshiping, offering the animals as an act of worship?
Okay, do not get conflicted, guys, with the offering of the animals. The offering of the animals is an instruction from the Father. So let me ask y'all a question. If Elohim said, bring me the bull, ram, and lamb, and you brought it to Elohim, and since you can't offer it on his altar, he takes it from you and he puts it on the altar. Is Elohim working?
No.
Yeah, he is.
Do the priest. Okay, got it.
You went too fast. Again, slow your brain down for a second. Right answer, but don't just skip there because you'll miss the essence. The priest is a servant unto Yahweh. Isaiah made a statement that we really missed, and you'll hear me say it all the time, especially when Pesach comes, and I'm waiting for some people to ask the other questions, because if I introduce them, it'll be too much and take off track. To whom shall the arm of Yahweh be revealed? So if you are bringing per his instructions what he wants out of the earth to him, if he receives it from you, he's working. If he then takes it and disassembles it and dissects it and skins it and fillets it and debones it, is he not working?
Yes.
Yes.
So in the earth, the Levites are that turnstile. The Levites are his extension in the earth for that purpose. And they work that day, and they are working in Elohim. This is the handoff here. It's like a handshake. So when you come through the congregation of the saints, the priest meets you at the door. Thank you for obeying the instructions. I'll take it from here. The priest is working. The priest is working on that day because that day, those days, the priests are the only ones that can do whatever needs to be done in the tabernacle. The people have the right to bring what Yahweh asked for down to the tabernacle, and then they go back home. Or they sit here and they read the Torah, and then they go back home, and they treat it like a seventh-day Shabbat. No work, but the priests do. Hit different, don't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, the thread question is that person, this is on a thread on Facebook, or are they in the room?
They're in the room.
Hi, can you come off mic and share, because I want to make sure I get it from your essence. It's a great question, but you have 4 different questions in one. I'd love to address them.
Okay. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. How are you? What's your name?
Yes. Marcia.
Hi, Marcia. What you got?
It was just exactly what was read. And as I put the second question, it was basically going with the first question. Because where we read about not working, it's no servile work.
Correct.
Work that you would have the servants to do.
Correct.
So servants don't go kill the fatted calf. Servants don't do
Correct.
those things.
Correct. Here's the problem. Here's the thing, and this is what Christendom did wrong to us. They used it through different faith systems. I will not come against them. I'm just going to tell y'all what we did in our intellectual interpretation of Elohim's divine word. Watch this. If I'm sitting home on Sabbath and I eat out of a dish, do I leave that dish out because I can't wash the dish to get ants and roaches in my home?
I don't know about Christendom because I only know what I do in my house and the few others that I have visited with who are either Orthodox
Right.
or following after the way of the Orthodox.
Okay.
So they will leave their dishes, don't touch my dishes. If you're joining them for a meal, leave them, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Yep.
Just leave it.
Right.
And people don't want to. So I do know that if you have a spill, if there's some dirt, you can clean it up because it's part of keeping the place clean to be whole.
Correct.
So I would at least rinse the dishes.
Correct. That's the point.
The food doesn't get stuck in there.
That's the point, Marcia.
Go through and wash them all.
That's the point, Marcia, because we can get caught up in the levels and the layers of that, but that's the point. I'm not going to leave the dish I just ate out of on Sabbath dirty in my sink because I don't like roaches. I don't like ants. I don't even want to give them a probability to come by. So I'm going to rinse it. I'm going to wash it. Now, here's the catch. Is that servile work? Is that service of work? No, that's me taking care of me. So if we understand this, and because of the fact that I have so many rabbis who are friends of mine and the Orthodox, as well as the, Messianic, which is still technically Judaism, the concept, and it wasn't them that brought the problem. It's the Christians that transitioned and was glad to get Sabbath back, but kept doing Sabbath under a Roman or a Catholic construct and said, well, we're just going to do, now that we got Sabbath back, we're not going to do Sabbath on Sunday because Sabbath was really Friday at sundown until Saturday at sundown. We're going to do Sabbath on the day of Sabbath. But so long they had been doing Sunday worship by going to church under sun god worship that now we got Sabbath back. We're going to do what we did on sun god worship day on Sabbath day because we got the victory. We got Sabbath back. And they missed the whole point. It was good for us to get Sabbath back, fight for it. My brothers in SDA, even the elements that are known as JW, whatever, they're getting it back, right? Once these things happen and take place, we have to put ourselves in a position of realizing that we have to realize, moderator, somebody's off mute. Thank you. We have to realize that it's not servile work if it's me. I wash my body. Can I bathe on Sabbath? Can I brush my teeth on Sabbath?
Yes.
Can I change my baby's diaper on Sabbath? This is me. This is where people get twisted. Really, I promise you. I've been doing this for 30 years. And this is where people in the theologies and the doctrines, without watching the writ, from Orthodox to non-Orthodox to Sephardic to Ashkenazi to Yemenite to Mennonites to all the different splinters of Christendom. This is a privilege I've had of studying all these facets and realizing that servile work is different. When you bring a sacrifice to Elohim on Elohim's day, Elohim is not serving the people. The priests are not serving the people. They are worshiping the Father. Watch this. Worship is obeying his instructions. That's the definition for worship from the Hebrew perspective. Now, we've made a lot of new definitions and defines over the centuries, but if you go back to the ancient Hebrew and you find that word avodah, that is the word for worship. It means to obey the instruction of Elohim. Worship, in essence, means to obey the instructions. Worship is not what we do on Sunday through praise and worship. We don't sit there and sing songs unto Zion. Out of worship, he will make you happy. Out of obeying him, he'll put a song in your heart. Out of obeying him, he'll show you how he blessed you and bring tears to your eyes. Out of worshiping him, out of obeying him, he will bring you to this place of this overflow of emotions. He'll bring you to a place of this residue of feelings that leave you some kind of way because your body can't handle the knowledge that he's putting you and all that comes with that in that energy. So when you obey Elohim, you will be moved into emotions. We have believed too long in Christendom that when we sing and we dance and we shout in advance, or we sob and snot and drop and drool because we're in a prostrate position, that's worship. And we've associated the actual effects of worship as if that was the essence of worship. So worship means to obey. So the priests are obeying on these days the instruction. They're not serving the people. They are acting and receiving as Elohim on behalf of the instruction he put in the earth. That is a huge debate, but it is a seriously simple issue when you remove intellect of denominations trying to control people. These priests, when they receive your offering, they're not serving you. You're serving Elohim, and they're leading you in that service. So the point is, if we bring the sacrifice into the house, we can't do the altar. This is the unity of the service of the whole congregation. They bring it this far, the priest takes it the next place on behalf of Elohim, and they are both serving the Father. They're not serving the people. That is huge. So is the bringing of the sacrifice worship? It is, because that's the instruction. Did he say bring it? Yes. You bring something he didn't ask for, that's not worship. You bring more than he asked for, that's not worship. You bring less than he asked for, that's not worship. Worship means to obey. his instructions. When you do that, whether it's a high holy day or a regular seventh day Shabbat, or even a day of, days 1 through 6, worship is obedience to his word. That's what we lost because we are very shallow in our studies. And my dear sister, Marcia, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad you raised this question, because until certain questions like this come up, do I really take the deep dive into things that most people have not studied? But you got the question like, well, does that really mean that? There are real answers. And I need to get those questions out of you guys to give you and show you the answers and where you can find them and make the necessary, I dare say, metaphors, but make the necessary examples and analogies that create the truth of his word. We did too much intellectual thinking and control and manipulation for galvanizing people together that we literally may have used one thing to help get them together, and then over time never really explained it properly, and it became something we thought was gospel. And that's why people don't understand that when you are in Sabbath, it's funny, a lot of my Jewish brothers, we laugh about this, is that they created the pilot for the stove so that they would not be generating and making, flames and making fire. You just have a pilot, let it keep burning, and then you can just add gas to it and it'll give you what you need to warm up food. Well, some people think you don't cook at all on Sabbath. You can cook. You're not serving anybody. You're living. You have meat. You don't want to be, chopping up a whole ox, and you don't want to exert that kind of energy, which is why you have stoves, which is why you have washing machines and dryers that have a button to push, just a knob to turn. You can't exert that kind of energy. You can't exert that type of that type of energy in doing something. But if you put your clothes in a washer, drop a wash pod, or pour a little bit of soap and hit the button, energy's done. You are not exerting it. Now you've moved on. You go to the kitchen. You pull out a piece of filet salmon. You drop it in your skillet. The fire came on because you got electric. You clicked the button. You turned it and it came on. Electric, or the pilot got gas added to it. No energy. You sit there, you're cooking it. You saute it for 6 seconds on each, 2 minutes on each side. You turn it over, you take it out the thing, put it on your plate, consume it. Maybe boiled some, broccoli or Brussels sprouts next to it. That's it. There's no energy. Back then, they had to go in the field, cut out the grain, cut the fillet, fish the salmon out the water. There was too much. So we did not make the necessary transitions into practical functionality modern day. And some of us trying to be very archaic missed that point. And those that say, well, I don't want to be archaic, we in a modern day, you can't just throw that away either. So you got to be careful. Everybody does. And this is not at anybody. This is just a fact, because I had to make that very difficult decision to, okay, what do I do with my son and my daughter? What do I do with my children in time of Sabbath? I mean, we just don't. I have some people thinking that they're just supposed to sit still in the house and not do nothing. That is crazy. You will drive yourself crazy. No, I'm delighting in the Lord. I'm not going to move from this one seat. I don't want to get up too many times because I'm doing too much work. That's not what he said when he said that. As a matter of fact, what he talked about is that you can take your whole property line. If you got 5 acres, or you got 1 acre, or you got 78 by 89 feet, or you got 100 acres of land, you have the right on Sabbath to walk your property line. If you got a creek there, you got a tire that's hanging from a tree, you can hang on it and swing on it. You're in Sabbath. You're not doing work. You're not serving people. You're not making invoices. You're not drawing and making up commodities. You are contemplating Elohim, and you live doing that. So is it worship bringing the sacrifice? Absolutely. Is it work? It is only work in getting it, like your dish, to the dish drying pan, because Yahweh has asked, bring this to me on this day. It's worship. There's a big difference. Marcia, does that help a little bit with that perspective? That's a really great question. Did she leave us?
You kind of did, and then you kind of took it back. So I'm not gonna let it marinate. You know, for the most part, I agree with everything. But my question wasn't about what we do, because I agree with pretty much everything you said. You know, the elevator's there, the stove is there. You're not literally washing. You're not scrubbing your clothes out on the rock.
Correct.
Okay, so what I meant was in the act of killing the animals and cutting them up, could that have been considered worship, not serving people, but serving the Lord, worship to Yahweh?
That is worship to Yahweh. Yes. And if you pay attention to how the Levites operated according to the Abaya is that there is a system that the Levites work under. So when you brought that sacrifice in, the priests took it. Now, these priests had to stay white in their white clothes. Y'all know that, right? So when they would come in, the system of priests would know how to bring down a bull, how to bring down a goat, how to bring down a lamb, and they would work from there. They'd find that place where they would actually, I hate to be graphic here, but it's necessary for y'all to understand, they knew where to cut that thing so that it would bleed out humanely, and then they would let it rest. They knew how to actually cause it to come to a place of rest and lay it down for the sacrifice. And yes, was there skinning involved? There was, but that's the worship, because there's also in the giving of the sacrifice, there are certain parts of that beast you did not sacrifice. You did not take certain parts of the pertinence. Sometimes you had to take out the entrails. That is a part of the worship. That's the assignment. That's the worship, but it is only unto Elohim. When I bring a sacrifice, do I bring it to me? No, I bring it to him. It's for him. So Marcia, you're correct. That is what it's about. And sometimes we don't like to see it that way because we're so modern day. We don't really grab what took place. And then we think that that is something. So I won't touch that right now because I got to get to Ghana and UK. But Marcia, I hope you hang out with us. I really do. I love your questions.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you for the answer that shows me.
Yahweh alone be praised. It's his word. It's his word, his protocol, his process. Yeah. All right, guys. Proceeding word. We got to get out of here. Did I have any more questions? Okay. Did I have any more questions on platform moderators?
No, sir.
Okay. I got to get to UK. All right, everybody. We love you. We praise Yahweh for your lives. Listen, 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 listen. Your ways, my ways are not like his. Our thoughts are not like his. As far as the heavens are from the earth, so are our thoughts and our ways from him. Keep the Shabbat because Yahweh wants to bless you through it. It's not a game. It is a dispensing center of sorts. And those who come unto him, you got to do it. He will in no wise cast out. But you come and you keep the Shabbat because that is where Yahweh wants to bless you. We'll talk more about that tonight in our Sabbath, because we have a combined Sabbath today. You have the 7th day Shabbat and you have the high holy day of the Moed'im Sukkah, the actual 22nd of Tishri. So we're going to be under this. I'm excited. I'm excited. Stop. I got to go. I got to get to UK. Father, we thank you for your word, will, purpose, and plan. We're asking you to be with, in, through, and toward these, your people, as we bless your holy name. You are El Elohe Israel, and you are he who have given us hope, help, life, and strength. You are the El Elyon. You are the El Shaddai. You are Yahweh, the I am that I am. And we trust in you. You are our strong tower. The righteous run into you, and they are saved. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for caring about us. Thank you for being mindful of us. And we now look to be mindful of your word. Bring it to us as we come to lay before you and ask you to pour into us. Now, may Yahweh bless all of you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon you and grant you all 13 attributes of his shalom. This we pray in the precious, mighty, matchless name of Yahushua HaMashiach. All questions, all comments, all adding of value, we thank Yahweh for you. Keep them coming, keep asking them, and we're looking forward to studying together in his word to bring ourselves into unity that is both pleasant and good. That's where Yahweh commands the blessings. Have a great day. Those of you in the UK, those of you in China, I think they're up now, right? No, they're probably still in bed, as well as I think Vietnam may also be in bed. They may be up. But if you're not, I'm going to go to another program over in Clubhouse, not on Facebook or YouTube. That'll be at 7 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. on those particular platforms. But for those of you on Clubhouse who may be still with us, if you see that pop up happen at 3:30, which it will, if you're not already in your sundown, don't come into there. Come in at your sundown. There will be a clubhouse for you at your sundown, but do not come in. If your flag is not, hanging and blowing in the breeze up there at the top of that mast, don't come in. Please be decent and in order. Just pay attention, be conscious. Come at your time. If you're in your sundown already, you're beyond sundown, come on in. But if you have not experienced your sundown in your area, in your time zone, please come back when your time is at or beyond sundown. Thank you so much for listening. I pray that you've been blessed and filled with his precious word and give you something to contemplate and look towards. My name is Apostle V.W. Jones, and we're going to let you guys go. It's another day that Yahweh.
This is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word itself approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences. Let love heal all that's broken. This is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word itself approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences. Let love heal all that's broken.